This video game has gotten a lot of hate ever since it was announced, and I have to admit that I was somewhat skeptical on how this would turn out on release date. I knew once I saw the trailer that I was more than likely not going to enjoy this at all. However, I knew better than to think that, and remembered I need to play some sort of demo, alpha, beta, or take a gamble and buy the game in order to form my own informed opinion on how the game works, before I start giving it the finger and send it down the depths of hell where Resident Evil Gaiden lay. So, without boring you any further, the long story short is I took a gamble and decided to buy the game after seeing more trailers, which honestly did raise my interest a bit. But enough backstory and more reviewing. So, Umbrella Corps is a spin-off third-person shooter title set in the Resident Evil universe. The game has a couple modes for multiplayer and one single-player mode thus far called The Experiment. It's a single-player mode. So, if you want to skip the single-player mode, I'll probably say it here, or you can look in the description box. But this is going to be the single-player from now on. So go ahead and skip it to my multiplayer part, starting now. Okay, that's enough time. So if you're still here, I'm going to be talking about The Experiment, which is the single-player mode in Umbrella Corps. And it offers first-timers the chance to venture through the Resident Evil timeline and play in each map available in the game in chronological order, it seems, according to the events that happened in the main Resident Evil games. I haven't beaten the story yet because I wanted to dwell deeper in the multiplayer aspect. So from the little I played in single player, it seemed like I played enough to see that it only offers the challenge of obtaining 20 virus samples that drop from eliminating zombies, Cerberus, crows, or any other bioweapons threatening to eat you. You try and grab 20 samples as fast as you can while surviving, and the faster you grab the better you score for the mission. Once you beat the mission, you get to go on to the next spot. It offers some nice replayability if you care about obtaining those high marks. If not, well, fuck it, and just grab your samples. Don't die, and move on to the next mission spot. So let's go ahead and move on to gameplay. The first thing I noticed is how clunky the aiming felt for me. I have a Razer Ouroboros mouse plugged into my computer, and it allows me to change my DPI on the fly, with the press of a button. However, Umbrella Corps doesn't seem to allow my button input to change the sensitivity in the game, and I have to go into the options itself just to change it. I really didn't like it that much, but then again I could be doing something wrong. This is just from my experience. So despite being in third person, the game allows you to aim down the sights of the gun for an accurate shot, but the problem I notice is still the sensitivity seems to hardly be affected when you're aiming down the sights. Aim assist slightly helped, but using ADS still is pretty hard to shoot at my target. The guy would probably run as quick away from my sights than I would be able to hit him. Now on to movement controls. They are slightly limiting, think a little bit tank controls, but a little bit faster than that. So when you're turning corners or looking from side to side because of the sensitivity issues I described before, it makes for a bad experience when you're trying to move around and look for the enemy. One thing I did find enjoyable was using the Brainer melee weapon. Using this thing made me feel like a goddamn god, and a god I was during my time playing. Not only does it feel better turning and looking from side to side with the Brainer equipped, but I was able to get more thrill rushing my enemy, panic shooting me right before I take his fucking head off, or just stabbing it in his jugular. It fucking felt amazing. It can be charged to provide extra flame damage or electric. It's pretty cool. It highlights the enemy that's in your radius, so you know it'll hit your target. It is very enjoyable, and it's probably one of the best redeeming qualities of the game. Do take note, though, that you are a very easy target if the enemy you're charging is using a shotgun. I can't tell you how many times I got fucking blasted right away from one shot after I was trying to charge an enemy with this Brainer. Shotguns do quick work against charging enemies that have the Brainer equipped in their hand. Which brings me on to my next point. Now we have the zombie jammer. From what I saw in the trailers, I thought to myself, why in the fucking hell does this game need to have a gimmick called zombie jammers? It felt so idiotic, but as I said before, I would hold my judgment for when I played the game myself. After some extensive time in multiplayer, I have to say I absolutely fucking get it now. I really do. Zombies, dogs, and more may not seem menacing from the trailers alone, but in-game, they are fucking terrifying. These things can kill you rather quickly and will do so if they get the chance to, so destroying these jammers on an enemy helps out tremendously. I can't tell you how many times I won a match just because I got the enemy jammer disabled and taken the view of several of my undead pals eating my enemy's body. It was quite a sight to see. It also makes for a stressful match if your jammer happens to be disabled and you are the last one alive. Onto the multi-mission mode, which consists of 5 rounds, in which a random game type is chosen every round. There are 8 possibilities for the game to choose from. Target Hunter sets the objective of killing one random person on each team for points and only that person. Once the VIP is killed, then a new VIP is selected on the team until time runs out. DNA Hunter has players collecting DNA samples from zombies, and Special DNA Hunter mode has players collecting DNA samples from special monsters only. The multiplayer aspect also has more of the traditional game modes, including Team Deathmatch, Domination, Collector, where 6 briefcases are needed to be held at one time by the team in order to win. Protector, where holding the briefcase for as long as possible wins the player's team the match. And Collar War, where killing players and grabbing their data collars earns you a kill. There are public matches, ranked matches, and playing with your friends, but one thing I haven't spotted just yet is the survival mode. I'm pretty sure I'll find it later on, but if not, it's coming. They've already announced it. In conclusion, I got into Umbrella Corp not expecting a single damn thing, and I was more surprised at how much enjoyable it was once I played it for a couple of hours. It is very daunting in the beginning, and you will die quite a fucking bit. I'm not gonna lie about you there. But don't let that frustration build up until you eventually take a hammer right to your screen. All it is a steep learning curve, and you will be fine after a while. Now, will you absolutely love this game? Probably not. And it definitely should not be taken as a Resident Evil game. It's not even in the name, although some would argue that. One thing it does have is the music. The music was quite enjoyable, and it set off a Resident Evil mood for me. Despite any game for the Resident Evil title, one thing I noticed the developers actually managed to pull off was the soundtrack for any Resident Evil game that came out. So with that said, I would recommend this game, but not for probably $30. There are websites where you can get it cheaper with discount codes, such as I have done. And for the amount of content I am seeing, I wouldn't bet another gamer with less tolerance than I to think it would be worth the price. Is it an enjoyable game? Yes, I do believe it's a game where you can just play a few matches a day like Rocket League, and just enjoy the healthy competitive competition just like I do. So if you're watching this small review, then take the game with a gigantic fucking grain of salt, and maybe a beer, or tequila as a chaser. That's always good. But don't go into it expecting too much. I look forward to the free DLC the developers will be adding to the game, and can say that's more than what other big AAA developers are doing for their games. So at least free DLC is something you can look forward to if you pick up this game. So, this has been your Captain Richy221 speaking, and until then, thank you for joining me here at Rockitech.